I was covering was drag and drive. It's the best car community out there. I'll fight anybody that wants to argue with me about it. Everybody, it's like this tribe of people that are going track to track. You're 300 miles a day, 200 miles a day, driving with everybody. Everywhere you stop is a car show. It's a conversation about cars. You're just around a lot of like-minded people for a week.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barry out with Motorhead Digital, and my co-host is Annette Bauer with Annette Bauer Creative. We're super excited to welcome Michael Narks, the host of Drag, Drive, Repeat podcast, to Gearheads and Gasoline.
I'm excited
Welcome,
to be
Mike.
here.
How are you?
Oh man, it's a beautiful day here in Northwest Arkansas.
And you can make it whatever you want. That's the great thing about our days, right? Fantastic. Well, we're super excited to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join us today. And we will jump in with, if you've watched the podcast before, you know what's coming, but we're going to kick it off with, what is your favorite drink?
Everybody that knows me knows that I'm a margarita guy. So anytime we're anywhere, it's a margarita, and then I only drink water after that. So
Nice.
Margarita.
I actually like margaritas myself, but I only get them in pretty rare occasions.
We're going to have to put a margarita glass in our merch store because we have a chocolate milk glass and a bourbon glass. And I know that our producer is a margarita guy at times as well.
I knew I liked him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Michael, this is a different podcast for us episode because we're interviewing another podcaster, but you're a car guy. And my understanding is you've been a car guy ever since you were a kid. And I just was curious, how'd you get into that? How'd you get addicted to cars and racing and things like that?
To be honest, I really don't know. I will blame everything on my mom and my grandmother, though, because every time we went to the store as kids, my mom would let us get a Hot Wheels, right? It was $1. At that time, it was probably like 78 cents, to be honest. But we would always, my brother would get one, I would get one. And then that's probably my earliest car memory. And then my dad always kind of had something cool. Like, I don't know if he wasn't into cars like I am, but he always had, something he was doing something to, boats, trucks, cars, all that kind of stuff. So, and then my grandmother, she would take us to anything we ever wanted to do. Well, that usually meant car shows of some kind, or if we were driving and there was a cruise night, we'd pull in and spend 2 hours there walking around. So I blame it on them.
That's awesome. That is like, I totally can resonate with like the Hot Wheels, because when I was a kid, I had so many Hot Wheels, and same thing. Like every time I go to the store, I'd be like, please.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I still collect them. I was telling you guys before we started recording, there's like 300 behind this green screen right here, or this wall behind me. And then I've got another 400 or 500 on the wall in the shop. And then probably another 150 or 200 that are just waiting to go up somewhere.
That is so awesome.
I'm not saying I collect them. I buy the ones I like.
I think that is called collecting.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Yeah, my car collection is just what's behind me at the moment. Plus my I have Matchboxes and Hot Wheels in the old blue plastic Matchbox with little plastic trays to pull out. Those are up in the attic somewhere. I should pull those out and see if they're worth anything because they're really old.
Yeah, big funny story. I worked at Kroger grocery store in Blytheville, Arkansas. Big shout out to Blytheville. And when the new shipment would come in, me and another buddy would just go back there and get what we didn't have, right? So I graduated high school in 99, and so I have like the generations and different models and all the stuff and I guess lines that they have for 98 and 99 both. And my mom had kept those in the attic for a long time. And so I got those back. So they're all on the wall too. So it's kind of fun.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I understand, that you also have a 66 C10 that was your grandfather's. And I can tell you, one of my customers and a past guest of ours, Jesse Vaughn from Level 7 is a big, that's what they do.
Listened to that one the other day. Yeah.
And I just watched another episode that they did. I'm really jonesing to get. My wife is like, another car, but she goes, gotta get your Corvette done first. But I'm curious about that car, but then we can move on to some other cool stuff.
Yeah, so the truck, super cool. My grandfather bought it in '67 as a 6-cylinder 3-speed, and then drove it all over the country. So he was an iron worker. It's been in New York, it's been in Miami, it's been in LA, driven everywhere. I mean, in the '60s and '70s and stuff like that. So he dailied it until '92-ish,
Really?
probably. And it was parked. Well, in '92, I was 11. And so being a car guy, that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, right? Because by that point it had a V8 in it, a 283. So for the next like 2 years, I bugged him, hey, can I drive this? Not have, but drive it as my first car. And finally, like I mowed yards, did all that stuff. I got a job at a golf course at 14, had a little motorcycle. Would spend money on the truck as I had it, right? You don't make much money as a 14-year-old in the mid 90s. And so I would spend money as I got it. Well, we ended up like, it had put a new windshield in it, put new door panels on, all the little trinkety stuff that a 14-year-old could buy. Well, I turned 15 and he's like, hey, if you can get it running and driving good again, you can have it at 16. And so I've had that truck since I was 16, and I turned 44 a month ago. So I've had it almost, I think I've probably had it longer than he did, actually.
That's so cool.
It's got a turbo LS 4L80, makes 500 wheel, and it was built for burnouts. We welded the diff. Everything was done on a budget. I did all the wiring, the harness, everything like that. I broke it in 2022 at a drag and drive, and my brother Steven, who owns Narcoleptic Customs shop, he came over and got it back in February and got it back on the road for me, and we're going to take it on a couple drag and drives this year, so I'm excited about that.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Like, speaking of drag and drive, I have to say, love the hat. I'm a big Redwood Rally fan.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Heather and Jesse. You guys are
Big
awesome.
time.
And so I just think that that's like the coolest and funnest thing, to be able to blend your history into where the future of drag racing and kind of like a metamorphosis of it has kind of moved to. So I just think that's really cool.
Well, and this truck was built like with the full intentions of being able to drive anywhere across the country, any place, put my wife in it. It's got power steering. It's got power brakes. It drives good, except for the welded diff, which is a little interesting to learn to drive on. And she's driven it several times. It's got a really nice interior. The seats recovered, new carpet, all paint inside and everything like that. The outside is patina. So we've got, that's my jam. And so we've done a lot of stuff. It's lowered. It's got 18s on it and stuff like that. Like it's really a fun truck, and it will do big, long, gnarly, high wheel speed burnout. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a team member, Keith, has a 69 Dart Springer that were a Swinger. I shouldn't say Springer. I said that wrong. He's building in a drag and drive car. AMD has helped us with that. Redline's helped us with that. So hopefully in the next couple of years, we're going to the local tech school in September to have them put some recorders on it. So we got a ways to go.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but local tech schools, man, we're losing them, and we need those kids, man. And adults. There's a lot of adults in there too.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
You've sold cars, you managed logistics, you've gotten into the drag and drive. How did you go from that to drag and drive? What was the biggest reason you said, I'm going to do drag and drive, I'm going to do a podcast, I'm really into this? Because you've done a lot of other stuff.
Well, let's start back. I'm going to give a quick recap of the last like 30 years, right? So in high school, I met a group of car guys, Aaron Mick, Paul Snyder. Big shout out to those guys. They were instrumental in this whole thing. Well, in high school, Aaron and I's plan was to go to college, get out, and start a performance shop / car dealership, right? My dad had sold cars most of my life, and so that was normal, right? So I graduated high school. I said, I'm going to move to Northwest Arkansas from Northeast Arkansas, and I'm going to sell cars while I go to college. Well, when you're selling cars at 19 years old and you're making good money, college, bro, I don't need that. You know what I mean? Because I was making what adults were making. So I dropped out. Aaron joins the Army. We end up going different ways. Still great friends, but he joined the Army, got out, went to work for Comp Cams, spent 15 years in Comp Cams. I spent 15 years in car dealership life and had our second daughter. And I was like, I got to get out of 70 hours a week. You're part of the B plan, be here, sell cars, make money. That's how the car business works. With 2 kids, I didn't want to do that. So I started looking, ended up at JB Hunt Logistics as a driver recruiter because I could sell. Hated that life. And then ended up, because that was on my resume, ended up at a company called Miller Zell, who does all of the signage for Walmart. Luckily through that gave me Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. It gave me vacations and benefits and all the stuff that, like, normal, typical people live with. I had never lived with stuff like that before, to be honest. And it was pretty eye-opening that you could have a regular life. So we've grown 2 daughters now. I spent almost 9 years at Miller Zell. Love those guys. They still do all the print work for all of the banners and things like that we do at Drag Drive Repeat. And
Nice.
in 2020, before COVID really kind of kicked off and happened, my father passed away in February. When that happens, and he was like 62 at the time, that really hit me hard. Like I was like, okay, life is short when you start kind of doing the math, right? And at that time, I was in my late 30s, 2 kids. I'm like, this is just something. I'm having a feeling inside my body. Well, at that time, I was already kind of doing some podcasting and interviewing on Narcoleptic Customs, our other channel, the shop channel, and so it was really growing a lot more. And when Hot Rod Drag Week canceled for 2020 because of COVID, Rocky Mountain Race Week opened up Race Week, or Rocky Mountain 2.0, and did it right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is like 2 hours from me. So it's Tulsa, Ennis at Texas Motorplex, Thunder Valley, and one other track. I can't remember the other track. Anyways, but when I did that, so leading up to Rocky Mountain 2.0, I started interviewing people. What can I expect from doing my first drag and drive? I followed drag and drive, drag week forever, Rocky Mountain Race Week forever. What can I expect? So a good friend of mine, Jonathan Soncypher, is the reason we do this. In 2013, him and I started hosting car events, and 7 years later, now I'm finally going to get on a drag and drive. And when I attended that, so the 7 months before that, so my dad passes in February, 7 months or 6 months, I take and learn all I can. I'm interviewing people. I'm doing my own research, but I'm also interviewing folks that are out there. By the time early 2022 came around, I had spent basically all of 21 interviewing people for Drag and Drive. All I was covering was Drag and Drive. It's the best car community out there. I'll fight anybody that wants to argue with me about it. Everybody, it's like this tribe of people that are going track to track. You're 300 miles a day, 200 miles a day, driving with everybody. Everywhere you stop is a car show. It's a conversation about cars. You're just around a lot of like-minded people for a week. So by, let's say, December of 2021, I was like, people at Narcoleptic Customs were probably tired of watching so much drag and drive content. January of 2022, I kicked off Drag Drive Repeat, and it's been nonsense since then. We've made tens of thousands of posts, 1,500 videos on our YouTube channel. We do 2 weekly podcast live streams. And all we focus on is drag and drive content. So
it's absolutely like
the community is
coolest,
amazing.
funnest, like 100%. I agree with you. So like last year I got to do my first drag and drive with Redwood Rally, and they hired me to cover the event. And it was like, I didn't know what to expect going into it, but like quickly after I'd gotten there and started it, I was like, okay, I can get behind this because there's so many different cars, right? Like you go to a typical drag race, like if you go to a pro mod race, right? You know, you've got a bunch of high end, really expensive pro mods. You go to a small tire race, you go to whatever, right? But like you go to a drag and drive and there is like something in every category that is different, and like everybody is like just a super cool community. It is 100% one of the coolest things to participate in, to attend. It is exhausting, but it is so fun.
Yeah, I need to go. I've never been. You know, we're trying to get Keith's card done. It's going to be a while, but looking forward to it.
Hey guys, Jason here with AMD, and you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Check this out.
Take your daily. Just go. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing I learned. So 2020, I raced and took content for Narcoleptic. So those videos are on. I built a Grand Marquis. We cut the body off of it. It's got a huge cage around it. I'll send you guys a picture of that. It's called the Narcs cart. It's really the dumbest thing. Everybody should have a car they don't care about in their life, and this is that car for us. So we took it on that. It's perfect for media, right? If you're racing, you're in the lanes for 2 hours if there's 250, 300 cars. So by the time you get to the front, you've lost all that time to go talk to other racers. So for 2 years, I did that double duty. So now it's September of 21, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. My brother's a way better driver than I am anyways. So we moved my ticket over to him. He's a better racer. He's a better builder. He's a better everything than I am. So we just let him do that stuff. And now I go talk to people and get content and record stuff and do all that all day. And it's way easier for me, to be honest. But as media, as Annette learned, you don't, there's no downtime. You're gathering content when they're racing, you're editing content when you get to the hotel, you go to sleep about 3 a.m., you get up at 6 to get on the road.
Yeah. And then in between all of that, like you're leaving as early as you can without missing too much so that you can get shots on the road, or you can get content on the road, and finding a place to pull over where you're not going to get smushed, or you're not going to, jeopardize you or anybody else. Like, very 100%.
So that's where the repeat comes in. Rinse and repeat. Keep going. Next one, you're out there before the other guys are, because you want to get them coming down the road, right? And get those shots and stuff. Yeah. Wow.
Well, but like Mike said, like go take your daily, and even if you don't have a car that you're like, man, this could like blow the doors off of whatever category, just go experience it. Like it is so much fun. Like even if you don't participate in it, just go and follow it for a week and just participate. Like legitimate, like it's one of the funnest, coolest things I've done. Like they asked me to come back this year, and I've got some work obligations that I'm trying to work through to see if I can make it back.
Whatever that other work is, just write it off. Tell me you're coming, because Redwood is on my list. Sadly, I can't make it this year because it's like the week after drag week, and I've got to do drag week because of Summit is one of our big sponsors, our biggest sponsor, and so they're going to be at drag week, so I got to be there. There's literally, I want to give a shout out to Jesse Fox of 3G Video. He is driving his V8 swapped 85 Volvo wagon from Maryland all the way to Redwood Rally in 3 days to do drag week and Redwood Rally. So I'm
that's
super excited for him. He's one of the hardest working dudes in drag and drive as well.
Heck yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. And, when it's funny because I want to talk about marketing for just a second with Drag Drive Repeat. So Narcoleptic Customs was easy because it was our shop, right? My brother was always called Narcoleptic in high school. So Narcoleptic Customs just works, right? With Drag Drive Repeat, I was literally, it was a brand idea. I was like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to build a brand around it. So I need a good name. I've spent weeks on just the name.
We know all about that, don't we, Annette?
Oh yeah, it's so tough. And then weeks on the design, all that kind of stuff before I even rolled it out. So that's probably one of the biggest lessons I had learned then, was not just fire stuff off and get going on it and then have to change things later. So it was it's a big learning experience.
Yeah, our producer Dean, he's a genius behind the name. We had a list a mile long for this podcast, and it was tough. talk about a lot of work. He sends me a meme one time. It says, a new business owner decides that he wants to promote his business. So he says he creates a podcast. Now business owner has 2 businesses.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's a lot of work. Yeah. So
yeah.
I feel like that's in everything, right?
Yeah.
Like I've signed up to do like, hey, yeah, I'll take care of that. Oh yeah, I'll do that. And I'm like I have more hours in my day. What is wrong with me?
Yeah. And big shout out to Eric White, my right-hand man, my co-host on the show and stuff. He's been with me the whole time. Or we've been together. He hasn't been with me. We've been together. And it really is, it takes a team. Like it really does take a team. We've hired a virtual assistant last year to help us collect info. When I started this, there were like 11 events in 2021. There were 20 something in 2022. There's 42 scheduled for 2025.
Dang.
Well, being the guy that is like statistical based, right? I'm always finding new records, who's run what, how,
right.
Chevrolet, but whatever, all the stuff, who's run the fastest in the class. You start looking at 42 events. Now suddenly that becomes a real problem when you're trying to gather all of that data and just to even have it and give those guys recognition. It's full time. So I quit my corporate job in July of 2023 and haven't looked back.
That's awesome. I mean, the fact that you could do that and make that shift, like that's incredible. Like some people are like dream of doing that, right? So you held the key.
Big shout out to my wife, Melissa. She's amazing. And she's held the fort down. I traveled 17 weeks last year going to events and stuff. And she kept everything on.
Yay,
We got 2 competitive daughters, or 2 daughters in competitive sports. And it's always time. We have something every night of the week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
So with that said, you've been building this business of podcasts and everything, and you definitely are all in on drag and drive. How do you promote it? How do you get it out there? Because it is a business, right? I'd like to learn more about that. And then I got a couple other thoughts here.
So
Mike, before you answer that question, I'm going to preface this by saying the reason why Barry just said that is because Barry has gotten in trouble multiple times from asking like 3 questions at once.
Yeah, I almost went there again, and I'm like, stop.
Yep. Well, I appreciate that for sure. I don't know if I keep up with 3 at one time. I am a quantity guy, maybe over quality. Okay. Now that's probably detrimental sometimes, but in 2022, we posted more than 3,000 times on social media. So we literally blanketed everything. We've slowed down a little bit. Eric has taken more of like our creative director role. He does a lot of our flyers and artwork and things like that. So we don't post quite as much. And now instead of posting 2 or 3 times a day with a story from our that we would normally just post, right? So used to our show was an hour. We would basically kind of hit some high level topics, and now it's 2 hours for the show live on Wednesday nights, and then Saturday mornings we do an hour long news. So no guests on Saturday, but generally 1 or 2 guests on Wednesday night. So it lets us kind of dig in. So we have 3 hours of live stream every week that we're writing for. We're used to those were just posts that were being made. Now we're writing it as content for the channel, content for the shows and live streams. And so really when you say, how do we get it out there? I'm going to cram it down your throat. If you type in drag and drive, we're probably going to come up. And if we don't, we're going to very soon when you start, because I've just volume, absolute volume. 2022, 2023 was almost the same. 2024, we weren't quite there. I think we only made like 1,800 posts or something like that. So.
But you guys have helped, right? Like just like with you see like Sick Week, you see like Rocky Mountain, all those things. You guys have helped really put drag and drive on the map of not just what those areas are doing, what those tracks are doing, what those promoters are doing, whatnot, but like you said, giving recognition where recognition is due. And that is very difficult to retain all that data and remember, like, hey, this guy ran this number, he ran his best there, he, like, it's a lot. So you
But
guys have helped with that a lot.
here's the biggest benefit, right? So for automotive guys, a lot of true car guys are into everything. We like everything. We like everybody's car. We like everybody's build. We like drifting, drag racing, mud trucks,
Right.
burnout, all that kind of stuff. So when a brand is started, a lot of times those guys they'll cover everything. And they never niche down. Well, that was my entire plan with Drag Driver Pete, was to niche down as small as we could to get to the core of a community. Now it's because I love this community. This is the best community out there. Again, I'll say it all the time, but I knew that I was going to be following those racers, going to those events, doing that kind of stuff. And so before the stat side of stuff even became a thought in my mind, it was that there's 300 people at Sick Week 2022, right? So I started the brand January 30th or 31st, 2022. Sick Week started like February 1st. So it was literally the day before. Before that, I had been posting on Narcoleptic. Okay, everything was, I was still covering drag and drive stuff, but not to this level. And so with the brand now I have the thought process of like, hey, I've got to take care of this brand. I got to figure out how to get, basically, I'm selfish. How can Eric and I talk about drag and drive all the time, every day? And with Narcoleptic, it's very difficult for brands to get sponsors, right? So we went into it with a news mentality. Drag Illustrated, Wes Buck, and that team over there, Mike Carpenter, are huge inspirations of mine. And so what they do with Drag Illustrated, I basically wanted to do with Drag and Drive, Drag Driver Pete. And so if you're going to talk about everybody, now suddenly everybody shares your stuff because you're talking about them.
Yeah.
Where Narcoleptic, I was sharing my point of view, my races, my stuff, the builds that my brother's doing, all that kind of stuff. That channel is still going. I just don't spend as much time on it, obviously. So with that whole thing, it was like, I've got to niche down. I've got to find what I truly like, which was Drag and Drive. And how can I take what I've learned from Narcoleptic and just, I don't know, man, talk about it every day, all day. It's all I think about. It's really all I think about. And now with 40 events, there are more than 5,000 people that will race drag and drive, probably 3,500 unique racers across the world. It's really, truly probably the fastest growing automotive community in the world right now.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Annette Bauer Creative. At Annette Bauer Creative, we understand the power of visual storytelling in transforming brands and driving growth. From capturing the essence of your products and services to showcasing the unique solutions you offer, our professional imagery and reels help bring your brand to life. Fuel your brand and ignite your vision at AnnetteBauerCreative.com.
Have you, and both Annette and I are big on niching. Motorhead Digital, right? I've been in this business for 28 years, marketing, website development stuff. But when I niched down to Motorhead Digital, it was a huge difference in, how I talked about the business, my target audience, and our profits, right? And even with this podcast, we have a specific niche we focus on, well, two, and it helps you focus more on what you're doing. But question I have, what you said about the growth of Drag and Drive, do you feel that your podcast has helped it grow?
I would hope. I know Sick the Magazine, big shout out to those guys, Derek Putnam, Luke Newhoff, Tom Bailey, obviously owner, creator. They've helped a ton. They've been voted, Sick Week's been voted twice now, like USA #1 motorsports event. Huge kudos to them. They've helped tremendously in the community. When you start looking, there's not many folks that cover Drag and Drive because it's still not a very big community, right? In 2022, there were like 1,100 people. Well, there were 900 people at the Big Go in Indy that year.
Right.
So you start looking like it took all year to get 1,100. Now we're like 3,500. But in the automotive community, it's still so very small. So I would be doing this if Drag and Drive had 50,000 people racing every year. But luckily, we started when it was small, and it's exploded since then. So from there, we did it at the right time. Again, I would do this if it had a whole bunch of people. I'm not a Top Fuel guy. I'm not I do pro mod stuff with Midwest, but I'm not like a Midwest guy. I want to drive that stuff on the street. I want to see that car at a gas station. I want to see that car in the hotel parking lot. And so when you niche down again, you've just got to go all in. You can't sugarfoot some thing on the side and think, oh well, hey, right now pro mods are hot, because they are. Oh man, right now jet boat racing is hot. I'm going to go over there for a little bit. You can't do that. You've got to find your community and go for it. So I would like to say I hope we do that, but we've been fighting. This is one of the hardest struggles I talk about almost every day with Eric White. We are 400 people from 100,000 followers, and we've been 300 to 700 people from 100,000 followers for like 6 months now.
Man, all you need to do is reach out to Cletus. Cletus could get you there in like a hot second. Like, do you know how many people like he's like worked with that were like this close to something? And like, man, it's crazy. And he does that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, and that's probably the other side of our stuff too, is within the drag and drive community, having such a small demographic, small group of people. Those guys are gods to us. I mean, they're those people that race at that level, the big influencers, Mike Finnegan, Cletus, Tom, all that kind of stuff. We are going to have to do a little bit of celebrity chasing this year. We've typically shied away from chasing and only focusing on them because there's so many stories. Everybody says all the time, each car has a story, blah, blah, blah. But like when you're drag and drive racing, you really do. Like there's a 12-second car that blew their motor up last night and they fixed it in the parking lot with bubble gum and zip ties, and that car's still racing today. They put JB Weld on the side of the oil pan, and that's the story you can tell, because that 12-second car, which is the largest group of all drag and drive racers, 12 to 1299 is the biggest group of racers. Those guys are sitting at home, and if those big influencers get all the attention, they think I've got to have an 850 car. I've got to have a 7-second car to get any kind of attention. So for the whole time, we've always focused on the story, no matter how fast the car is. What's the story? What's it set up? What's the history? All of that goes along with almost each and every car that's out there. So we are going to have to do a little bit of celebrity chasing this year, because dadgummit, I want 100,000 followers. Like, we're 406 away this morning, and I'm frustrated. So maybe by the time this comes out, we'll be at 100, and we can put that little banner above me here.
Mike's like every day, like looking at his numbers, like move just a little bit.
What's crazy to me is when you start doing that, y'all know this, when you start doing that, you're like, why did I lose 8 followers yesterday? Why?
I don't look at the numbers.
What did I say? What did I do? It's probably just bots
was
anyways.
My hair not right that day?
Yeah,
what's happening?
Hair. What was that?
100%. Yeah. But you're not wrong in the perspective of, like being strategic about what and how you present your information and what your intent is, right? And when you're building social media, it is super important to remember that you need to have a strategy behind it, that when you do decide to because trust me, I know tons of businesses who are like, oh, we're just going to willy-nilly start posting stuff because that's what we're supposed to do, right? But the reality of it is that if you're not strategic in that process, why waste your time doing it right now? Because you're not making any value.
And for us, from the very beginning, everything posted on Drag Drive Repeat is drag and drive related. There's probably 5 posts ever that were about pro mod stuff, that from my work with Midwest Drag Race Series. And a lot of times, if there's 5 other posts on there, 3 of those are about something within a drag and drive, why it's related to that. And that was one of the biggest things we really pushed for that, because I have my own personal brand, right? I have Michael Narks. I can do whatever I want to with that one. And that's where I post all the stuff, right? Yeah. So when you look at your social media, if somebody's looking for drag and drive and they come to your page and it's all pro mods and jet boats and whatever Cletus is doing tomorrow, then you end up like you're growing the wrong brand. Like we wanted to be the source for news and entertainment from the drag and drive community. We wanted to be where people go if they want info. And so we're building out a huge backside of the website. I'm a stats guy. I love the stats behind everything. How many people have raced, what cars did what, everything like that. So forever, we've never, not many events collect mile per hour. So we don't know what the record for mile per hour is at certain events. We don't know what reaction time stuff is.
Right.
330 times are, because all they cared about was if it was a quarter mile path, they got quarter mile ET so you could run your average by the end of the week.
Right.
That becomes a problem 20 years into a community, because now it's gaining traction. But if you look at NHRA, there's eighth mile, oh man, first person to 300 miles an hour in the eighth. We don't know what any of that was. Who was the first person to go 150 in the eighth? Nobody knows.
Right.
Who was the first person to go sevens? We can tell you that. Who was the first person to do that? We can tell you that kind of stuff. But that's where I want to go with it. I want to be the NHRA stats of drag and drive, and we'll eventually get there. There's some stuff we're working on to try and make that possible. But at a drag and drive, you're at 4 different tracks in 5 days. So not only as a event person, you're racing different stuff, but now if I'm a stat guy, I need to go to each track. 105 tracks were raced in 2024. I need to go to 105 tracks and try and get that data, right?
Oh my gosh.
Well, the event staff do not care about that.
No.
Have zero care, because they're just trying to keep their stuff together. So
Right.
trying to collect all the time slips from these racers. So, how can we make that better? Can we make it an automated system where it automatically updates their ETs?
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Is that possible? Now, if you can do that, how do you do that at 4 tracks in a week? So, there's
You
a
almost
lot
have to
of
have
fun stuff.
some kind of system that plugs into the tower computer, so that, like you said, it just kind of downloads that data into something for you. Like, that would be optimal.
Right. And so here's the struggle, right? So May 30th through June 1st, there are 5 different events that are being hosted. So if you're going to do that, do you only focus on that one big event for that weekend? Or do you buy 5 different processes like that, send it to each promoter, then they give it to their staff. Their staff is supposed to plug that in as part of their normal process. So then I can collect that data. Right?
Good luck with that.
Instructions on how to plug it in and use it, and they throw it out the window, or like,
or they leave.
I'm not doing all this. I got other stuff to do.
Yeah, 100%. So we're really kind of we want to take drag and drive to that next level. I think that is how we do it, because then it allows a lot more just talking points. How many times have you heard about the reaction time of Top Fuel or Funny Car, all that kind of stuff? When they're talking about it, we have no idea what reaction time is in drag and drive. So a couple years ago, they implemented like a 1 second rule for reaction time, because before those guys would turn the light green and then spool the turbo so they could get the best possible pass, because that's what you want in drag and drive, is your the best pass you can possibly get. Well, if you're worried about cutting the light, that's not a stress you need because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So those guys would turn the light green, then spool up and boost and be on the line for 7 seconds, waiting for the car to come up to the right spot, and then release and make their best pass. So they implemented the 1 second rule to kind of help speed things up now that we're getting 250, 300, 350 cars at each event.
Man, I'll do some brainstorming for you as best I can. So I used to our home track, Sacramento Raceway, closed down in December 2023, and I'm super sad about that. Super sucks.
People don't understand how nice it is having a closed track.
Man, like 20 minutes, backyard. It was so amazing for 20 years. Loved it. But I worked in the tower. And so like same thing, like I, inputted all the cars and, like got everybody through rounds, whatnot. And you're right, 100%. Like the people in the tower were like, I'm just trying to get through my damn day. Like, am I going to get lunch today? Do I get a potty break? Like, what is happening right now?
They're today they're making $15 an hour. They're doing it because they love it. They have
100%.
They have another job that pays their stuff, and they do that for extra money. And because, there's a lady, Dana, at Tulsa Raceway Park, and she works every event in the tower, inputting numbers, inputting all the data, all that kind of stuff. Her husband races. So he does tech and a lot of other stuff at the track when he's not racing, but that's why she started being there. And so you end up with that. Now I've got to ask him to plug in this machine so I can get data while I'm at home trying to play. It's just not going to work yet. We're going to figure out a way. But again, who cares about reaction time on a drag and drive when there's no, somebody cut a perfect light. That's not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's you'll figure it out, I'm sure. So I've been following drag racing, NASCAR, all sorts of racing through the years. I'm not a statistician and stuff like that. What I have seen is a other series and even concerns about drag and drive is they start out grassroots, then they grow. Then we start getting sponsors involved. I don't even know if there's sponsors involved with drag and drive.
Oh, yeah.
But what does happen a lot of times is it gets so expensive that guys they're not having fun because they have to dump a shit ton of money into their cars to compete with other guys, right? So I don't know where's that going with drag and drive? Because I see that as a problem in all motorsports as it happens.
Hey, listen, we're competitive people, man. Like if you tell me, hey, I need to go to this amount of speed to get there and win this class, that's what we're going to do, right? One big benefit to drag and drive over some other traditional style racing is there's not, like you win a plaque, okay? There's not huge money in this like there is in NHRA, all that kind of stuff. In Midwest Drag Race Series, those pro mod guys can win 20 grand. Well, that'll pay for a weekend of racing and some other stuff. That that 20,000 to win that pro mod race, you may end up that may fund your fuel and food for the tracks all year, right? So that's important. For drag and drive, it really kind of is like a car guy vacation, right? We're not trying to set the world on fire. We're trying to survive. That's probably the biggest change too. But as we see more events come up, as we see more payouts like Rocky Mountain Race Week, Mega Week this year, they're giving out like $70,000 worth of money. But the only way to win it is to finish the week. So they'll base your placement or your ladder, or if you even get into that race on your average time. So as it grows, things will become easier. We're seeing a lot of events that should be called True Street that are being called drag and drive because it's a hot name right now. So as that begins to, you have more events that are 40 to 60 miles, 40 to 70 miles, calling themselves a drag and drive, one drive. We're not going to collect that data. Like I'll collect the names and the stuff. We're going to talk about it because it's named a drag and drive. It's a lot of drag and drive racers that are in it. We want to give them the recognition and things like that. But I think as we see more, one of the biggest promoters I think of, Donald Long, let that guy get a hold of a drag and drive. He right.
Talk about building some controversy.
Yeah. So as these guys, and I think they have to participate in an event to understand really what it is. So we're seeing a lot of promoters that have never raced a drag and drive host their own. And that lasts about 1 year because it's hard as hell to host a drag and drive, not promote a drag and drive, host a drag and drive, because now you're not just working with one track, you're working with 2, 3, 4 tracks.
Yeah.
That's expensive, really, really expensive. And you're also trying to give those racers an experience. So with the event we host called the Circuit, it's charity based. So, there's profit that we would have that is out the window now because we're giving it to charity, right? When you start looking at how to take care of folks and do a racer party, we do a racer pre-party, we do a racer party on Saturday night, we feed people 3 different times throughout the weekend, and it's just a weekend event. When you're a normal promoter, you're not even considering feeding your racers. You're like, I hope they buy at the concession stand, and I hope I get that 5 or 10% from the concession stand. Folks don't find that out until after they've had a shitty drag and drive experience and promotion because they're like, man, I didn't sell the tickets. I thought if I just hosted this, I'd have 300 people here. That was how I was going to make my money. Well, if you're new, again, you're just going to have to overcome it. You're going to have to be the loudest voice in the squeakiest wheel on the cart,
Yeah. We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.